What's up, you guys? Ross Sapp, managing editor, FightfulWrestling.com. WrestleMania weekend, my friends. We've had streams all weekend from the NXT TakeOver stream. I had a day one and a day two wrap up. I'm going to do a day three wrap up too. We also have a lot of stuff on Fightful Select. That's where to go if you want to really support Fightful and our independent coverage of pro wrestling. And every week we do a Ring of Honor, or not. Well, we do a Ring of Honor coverage. We do New Japan coverage. That's the Weekender with Steven Jensen. Dropped today. But we also do the 205 Live NXT UK review from Mr. Warren Hayes, who joins me tonight. Warren, how are you?
I'm doing great, especially after a couple of fantastic matches to end a Saturday night on WrestleMania weekend that have matches that have nothing to do with WWE. On top of that, boy, we had a treat. Those last few matches, they were outstanding. Can't wait to dissect them all with you, Ross Sapp of Fightful.com.
So before we get into Ring of Honor New Japan, there was some stuff that happened at the Hall of Fame. And I wasn't going to talk about the Hall of Fame at all because what's the point? People come out, they do speeches, they wear things, whatever. Bret Hart is on the stage. And during the Hart Foundation induction speech, some guy runs in and tries to tackle Bret. Tries because he couldn't. The screen went black and just a plethora of wrestlers hit the ring. One of which happened to be Travis Brown, former UFC fighter. He's still in the USADA testing pool, and he's laying down some punches. If there's 10,000 people in that arena, there are 9,999 people you want punching you before Travis Brown. Oh, by the way, if you want to pick the number 2 guy you don't want punching you in the face, it's probably Bret's nephew who trained with Billy Robinson and Josh Barnett, one Davey Boy Smith Jr., Warren. What the hell? This was a wild situation.
I mean, just on a very basic level, you're in a room that is filled with wrestlers, like regardless of who exactly is there and what the velocity of their punches is, you're just surrounded by people who fight for a living. This, on a very basic level, this was not a good idea. It was completely ill-advised from the get-go. This guy was he was in another place. He was just in another place.
So a few things that I noticed, and I actually had wrestlers reaching out to me saying, what do you know? What do you know? I was trying to find videos. And one of the wrestlers said, oh, that was Davey Boy Jr. I would not do that. I would not mess with him. Yeah, man, it was nasty. 2 members of New Day actually went over and protected Natalya, pulled her up to safety. True gentlemen there. There were Dash, while the guy was getting dragged out. Dash was like, no flips. Just fists. And so there are like 10 people holding this guy up. So some people could say, oh, that's a cheap shot. Here's the thing. I don't give a fuck.
No.
I don't care. He earned it. He earned that punch to the face. And the fact that there were 10 people holding this guy up and Dash was still able to drop him with a punch, kind of impressive.
And the thing is, this is the thing is a lot of people who do comment is like, oh, this was excessive and whatever. Hopefully you never get to actually be someone who is in a very public forum like that, because this is the kind of situation that can happen just about any time. And it does create a certain amount of stress around you. And these are people who, the wrestlers who are there, they all live under this same umbrella. So of course they're going to be extra protective of their own, and they are going to send out a message. If you fuck with us, we are going to fuck you up.
Oh, yeah. So the videos are over on our website, over at Fightful.com, over at FightfulWrestling.com. I did a news update video, and WWE had it removed like that. I mean, within 10 minutes, they had it up or had it down. Ew, I'm actually kind of impressed. I can't even be mad. Like, and it's well within their rights to do that. It's people, whenever I talk about that, people go, oh, what, can you blame him? No, I don't blame him. I would try to keep that as limited as I could too. Bret who is not always the most graceful guy, was in a very graceful mood tonight. He was being honored. And even more important than that, Jim was being honored. And I think that he knew that, and he made light of the situation. And I had somebody say, "Oh, Rockstar Spud was out there. What's he going to do?" I'm like, I think you maybe underestimate somebody who's been pro wrestling for 15 years and what they may have picked up along the way. Because what? He's short.
He wears wacky suits. It's like,
So the guy who ran in with a Jamaican headdress is gonna stop him. I don't know, but we've got a bunch of different angles of the video and all that. And on a night where we see that, we see something very similar happen in Ring of Honor, which we will talk about later. But I'm sure we'll talk about the Hall of Fame on the Listen You Boy. Reminder, Listen You Boy this Wednesday moves to 6 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. Check it out. But make sure you guys are here. By the way, guys, we're opening up the live discussion for WrestleMania, 6:30 in the morning Eastern. How about that? 6:30 a.m. in the morning Eastern. So maybe you're finishing up with Joey Janela's spring break or something like that. You're like, you know what? I want to drop a comment over there. Go ahead and do it. We're going to be here all day with you guys. It's going to be a fun time. This has been a great weekend. I want to credit big time. Kyler James has been working his ass off. David T's working his ass off. Ryan Cook, Joe Holbert, Andrew Thompson, Jeremy Lambert. My news team has been going crazy, doing a lot of stuff, allowing me to talk to sponsors and get exclusives and talk to people backstage and all this stuff. They make a lot of the exclusive info that we get at Fightful possible. So I want to thank them. Warren, you're here with me all weekend as well. All 3 shows back to back to back.
Absolutely. Isn't that it's kind of crazy. It's like, maybe I should move in with you, Sean.
Nah, let's not do that. Let's not do that.
I tried.
Honor Rumble kicked off this show. Now, I'm not going to run through all these entrants, but this was fun. It wasn't a great match, but it was fun. It was decent. I love, and now Ian Rika Bonnie busted my balls a little bit because David Bixenspan did one of those tagging surveys or whatever where you tag the third person that pops up on this list, and I was David Bixenspan's murderer. Oh. And Ian Rika Bonnie says, how ironic, he murders me after every show I call. I liked Ian Rika Bonnie's commentary tonight, and I'm not just saying that because he's a nice guy. I thought he did great. Him with Kevin Kelly, ooh, I like that team. And Cole Cabana, really like that team.
Yeah, I have nothing but good things to say about commentary. Rika Bonnie did say at first that, Kevin Kelly was his mentor, he was his friend, and, probably just stepped up his game because his hero was right next to him, his teacher. But no, I mean, there was nothing bad to say about commentary. Everything was super fluid. Even you just have to say, maybe aside from Nick Aldis, the 4th people that they were adding on that throughout the evening, they felt a little, they threw the balance off a little bit. Let's put it that way. But I thought Nick Aldis did a really good job during the ladder match, though.
Very, very good stuff. I enjoyed the commentary, but the Honor Rumble was what it was. It was to get everybody on the show, and they did kind of make it feel more important than an Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, at least in their scope of things. It was for a title shot. Now, it's probably a title shot that's going to be on some house show loop in some little Texas town that people forget is going to happen on Honor Club. But hey, whatever. Early on, the crowd wasn't quite filled out yet. There were empty seats. That changed. So the concerns about all the empty seats that were going to be there, I didn't see it. After the early thing, whatever. Some highlights of this include the Shaheem Ali sit outside slam. Takagi got a great reaction. So did Fale, Taguchi, Romero, Owens. Cheeseburger gets caught and saved from elimination, but then Fale beats up the guys that saved them. I loved the point that Rika Bonnie brought up. He said, PJ Black, who has wrestled Bret Hart at Madison Square Garden.
Yep.
I love it. I love it. Bret Hart is up there. I don't know what the rank is. I posted the stats at some point, but among guys who wrestled the most matches after their Hall of Fame induction. And a lot of people forget he wrestled a lot of live event matches in that regard. And he got to work with a lot of those people, and especially Nexus. But yeah, Delirious is in. I guess he's got to do something these days, right? I'll talk a little bit more about that later. Liger, of course, unbelievable ovation. Stomps Malonis's foot to get the advantage there. Toru Yano comes over and kind of like gives his entry to Colt Cabana. What do you think about that?
Oh, listen. For the New Japan Cup, there was one dream match for me, and it was Colt Cabana versus Toru Yano. And I'm glad that they're pushing this forward a little bit in the grand scope of things, where Yano goes and trades places with Cabana, who is more than happy to go in, and the audience was more than happy to see him too. He has a great reaction. Man, that guy, he's just loved. Everybody. Have you met someone who doesn't like Colt Cabana, Sean?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Yeah. There's some things that he's done personally that I don't quite like, but he's nice to me, but there are some things that he said about a friend of mine that I didn't take too kindly to. And yeah, but other than that, yeah, he's a well-liked guy. All things considered, this is a pretty stacked Honor Rumble. Fale, Goto, Suzuki, Gresham, Liger, Ishii, Cabana, and then Haku comes out.
Oh, man.
He bumped his ass off, Warren.
I know, 60-year-old Haku, and he got eliminated nice and proper right over the top rope. Landed hard, his backside on the side of the apron. Good for him.
Kingdom did not take care of him at all, which, nope. I mean, hey, if they didn't need to, they didn't need to. By the way, guys, if you send a super chat, you can ask us a question, and we will answer it. And then the big one, the Great Muta comes out. I didn't see that one coming, Warren.
No, as far
hell of a surprise.
As far as surprises go, you can actually put that one right up there with the Hardys popping back 2 years ago at WrestleMania, something that just blew everyone's mind. Who was expecting that? Definitely not me, but it was nice to see. Of course, his ring time was limited, and I like how it ended up. You know, with the in the final four, the two legends versus two new guys. Or there was actually a fifth guy at that point that was still active, but we had sort of lost track of. But it was just a nice moment, and this was one of the themes I felt that they had all throughout the show, is that there was a lot of fan service here for people who really were into New Japan. There was a lot of bone throwing tonight for the audience watching live, watching at home. And this definitely set the tone as to, hey, you know what? We're really glad to be here. We're glad you're watching us. Here, let's give you a little something to make this extra special.
And you know what? If you need a little something extra to make it special, if you're interested in some bone throwing, as Warren said, whether it be for a live crowd, a taped audience, live studio audience even, you don't want the laugh track. That's for damn sure. You want some genuine reactions and stimulation. And our friends at Blue Chew can help you out. Blue Chew brings you the first chewable with the same FDA-approved active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, so you know they work. You can take them anytime, day or night, even on a full stomach. And since they're chewable, they work up to twice as fast as a pill, so you can be ready whenever the opportunity arises. Blue Chew is prescribed online and shipped straight to your door in a discreet package. No in-person doctor's visit. No waiting at the pharmacy. No more awkwardness. You don't want to sell out in a matter of seconds. It's not always a good thing. And you don't have to sell anything. Blue Chew's free. You get your first shipment free when you use that code FIGHTFUL. FIGHTFUL. Just pay $5 shipping. It's better, it's cheaper, it's faster. Let them know you heard about them from us at Get Blue Chew. Oh, I was hoping there was some blue mist, but it was not blue. But we did see it. Kingdom even got pushed in the Rumble. They eliminated Haku. Dare I say that Ring of Honor and New Japan did surprises in the Honor Rumble better than the WWE did in the Royal Rumble.
Oh, well, absolutely, for sure.
Excluding like maybe NXT talent to some degree.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just like you said, like we were talking about, Haku and Muta were fantastic. And one thing I also noticed is, a few months ago when these tickets started going on sale, people were saying, oh, well, everyone is going to see the New Japan guys. It's all the New Japan guys that people really want to see. Well, the New Japan guys all got really big reactions. Like, Ishii got a huge reaction. Taguchi got a really, really big reaction. Of course, Liger and so on. Yeah, even Yoshihashi got a pretty good reaction, you know. So people were really, really excited to see to have the New Japan people over. It was definitely the selling point.
Yeah, well, Kenny King ends up dumping out both Liger and Muta. He gets the title shot, kind of a womp womp.
Mm-hmm.
I group Kenny King in there kind of with Matt Taven, guys whose characters I'm just like, and there was a while I was a big proponent of Kenny King, especially like I think 04, 05 TNA. He showed up in their X division. He was great. He got screwed over bad by the BDC thing in TNA. Like that was a big chance for him. And they brought him into ROH again, and it hasn't worked to that level. This will be a chance for him to make it work on that level. I don't know if it's going to be Taven that he faces, but if he can get over as a babyface against anybody, it'll be Taven. But ROH World Television title up next. Jeff Cobb defeated Will Osprey. You know, this match I thought was going to go longer, but considering how many matches there were on this show, probably good that it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
They tell the story of Osprey kind of dialing back his high risk. But unfortunately for him, when he does utilize it, Cobb just catches him and slings him around the ring, Warren.
Yeah, and I think it's a transition that he had begun last year, and that he's still moving forward with. We saw everyone was expecting his match at Wrestle Kingdom, you know, against Ibushi this year to be a lot of this high risk stuff. Is like, both of these guys are going to try and kill each other flying off of stuff, but that wasn't the case. You know, I think at some point, you know, Osprey does realize that his injuries are catching up with him. He does have to shift his style around. And it's interesting that and at the same time, part of the story that they're telling in New Japan, as far as his characterization goes, is that he's moving into the heavyweight division. So he has to change his style, and he has to compete against guys like Cobb. So it makes sense that his typical flying offense, the aerial assassin, isn't quite as effective as an assassin now, because he's meeting up with guys who can meet him just out of or counter him just out of pure strength like that. So it just made perfect sense in the grand scope of things as far as the Will Osprey character evolution goes.
So look to you like Cobb has bulked up a little bit.
Yeah,
since his Lucha Underground, it looks like he's a little bit bigger than he was then. Maybe it's the outfit, because I mean, he was wearing basically a prison jumpsuit type of thing over there. So who knows? I thought that Osprey is a perfect matchup for Jeff Cobb. I don't know if it's the case vice versa, because Will Osprey can do all the things that he's going to do no matter what. But for Jeff Cobb, it's funny. I talked to him about his finisher. I got him for the upcoming Making a Finisher thing, and he said sometimes smaller guys like that on Tour of the Islands are more difficult than bigger guys, because he'll underestimate his own strength and over-rotate and really stick somebody there. But Osprey catches Cobb with this great, it's a C4 is what I always called it, what Paul Burchill called it back in the day, the walking the plank, a standing Spanish fly, off the ropes. Cobb misses one of the biggest frog splashes I've ever seen, like just ate it. And then Cobb caught Osprey mid-os cutter. Really great spot where he throws Osprey into the corner, and then Osprey hits it anyway. I like that a lot more than any handspring into the cutter, anything like that. Because when I see somebody's momentum going backwards on somebody instead of forward, I don't like it. But this was a great spot.
Yeah, no, I thought that was fantastic. You know, it just before that, you know, like again, Will was trying his strength offense, wasn't quite working out. I thought, you know, it again still adds to it's still a logical progression. We're not abandoning, you know, the quickness just yet. Where he's still fast. He can still react. His resiliency is still there. Yeah, apparently he was apparently even working with a broken nose that he had suffered just the night before. So yeah, I mean this match was fantastic regardless, but this was a great spot.
Really liked it. Cobb ends up winning with a super tour of the islands than a regular one. This was fine. This was a good match, but not the barn burner that I was expecting. I
Yeah.
expected this to be up there. I honestly expected this to be up there with almost anything on last night's NXT show. And there's going to be people in this chat that don't like me saying this, but when I compare these two shows, I'm like, wow, I got NXT by a mile.
Yeah.
Faster pace. Now, granted, different kinds of shows, way different kinds of shows. This isn't even NXT's biggest show of the year. Their biggest show of the year they consider in August for SummerSlam. That's their WrestleMania. This is paced a lot different. This is almost, I think, like Ring of Honor's new WrestleMania. Like Final Battle isn't as much as what we're seeing here. But up next, we got what I thought was perfect for this show. Roush squashed Dalton Castle. I thought this did a lot, and I'm excited to see what you think, whether agree or disagree. He capitalizes on the boys, leaving a feather in the ring, and just squashes Dalton Castle. Just runs him, dominates, and then lays out. Beautiful. It kept the pace up, got a match under, and then Dalton Castle turned heel and attacked the boys. What'd you think?
I have no problem with this. I know that a lot of people are really, Roush is a bit of an internet darling right now. People really like to watch him go. He's got some great hype going.
People swore I hated him last time. Did you hear about what I hated last time?
What did you hate last time?
When he held on to that top rope for like an hour.
Oh yeah, yes.
While Bandido ran across the ring and jumped and dove. Hated it. But there wasn't any of that here. I mean, because it was a squash, but
yeah,
it makes sense of it, but he looks like $1 million.
Oh, he looked fantastic, and I mean he looks super strong right here after this match. Like there were probably some people who were really bummed because they didn't get to see him wrestle, but I think that the payoff here is extremely valuable. Roush comes out looking very, very strong, and I think Dalton Castle, as much as I love his gimmick, I think it's a little time to move on and try something new creatively for him. And why not just do it on a really big stage like that, where it's just like, okay. Everyone is now aware that Dalton Castle is a heel, and we'll see what happens next.
I had heard some rumblings. I don't know how true it is. I don't want to act like it's something that I heard straight from Dalton Castle, because I didn't, but I heard that he maybe had some trouble getting back into ring shape after his injuries. I guess that was an uphill battle, but so much of him is in the character and his explosive lifts and what he does and the type of injuries that he had. The fact that he was able to get back as quick as he can, that says a lot to me about the guy. It was time to change. It felt like that he peaked a long time ago, almost like when he was on the come up, like that he had all this buzz. And then he won the title, and it was kind of like, well, we've seen this. We know what it is. And there hasn't been a lot of progression. Personally, where I think that Dalton Castle peaked was in that amazing Silas Young feud. That was the most appropriate feud for those two characters.
Yeah.
The last real man against someone whose masculinity is such that it threatens the last real man. And it was so natural. They didn't need a title belt. They didn't need anything. Two great characters doing some work. This was good. I'm excited to see Castle as a heel.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what it was for. So good job.
Women of Honor World Championship. This was there. I mean, a lot of people bust Kelly Klein's balls. This wasn't a bad match, but it was a match. She got a big match intro. She got it felt like a cool intro with her gatekeepers. I don't know why she thinks that's a good nickname. A gatekeeper, especially in MMA, is someone who will never reach the top. Whether or not that's the definition by Webster's or when you Google it, who knows? I'm not looking it up. But I know what a gatekeeper has been called in MMA for years. Edson Barboza is a gatekeeper, capable of thrilling spinning heel kick knockouts, but he can't win the big one. Kelly Klein's won the big one twice now. Yeah. He's a gatekeeper in that regard. A couple of things that I want to mention. There's a forward roll, and it looked like it was supposed to work like a Granby roll. A Granby roll is when you're in a waist lock, you roll to your side, your shoulder, to try to break that waist lock or whatever it may be. And I don't know that it works like that. Maybe I'm just a little rusty. I don't know. Kelly uses her power to control Iwatani, and Mayu wipes Kelly Klein out outside. I saw her checking on Kelly. It took a little bit away from it for me.
Yeah. Like I saw it too, and I got a little worried because we're talking about the crossbody, right? She hit from the turnbuckle. She hit it a bit high, right? It was a little high up on the chest, wasn't quite as low as it could have been. I would have checked on her too, but yeah, it was a little obvious. Let the ref do his work. He was right out there. The ref was right on top of it, you know. Just could have left him do the job.
This is going head to head with that Hart Foundation induction.
Oh boy.
So that's not good for this. Klein and Iwatani slug it out. Klein wins with the Samoan driver. Klein shows respect to Maya Iwatani after the match. And if you were to say, Sean, what would you do to help out Women of Honor? What would you do? I would say, all right, you know what I'd do? Thunder Rosa is a free agent. Ivelisse is a free agent. And I know what people are going to say. Ivelisse has attitude problems. Pardon me, and pardon my French, motherfucker, but Tessa Blanchard is doing real good in Impact Wrestling. And the only thing I heard about Tessa Blanchard a year and a half ago was how bad her attitude was. And I know that her and Ivelisse and Tessa have some issues, but I'm seeing right now, I'm seeing Thunder Rosa. I'm seeing Ivelisse and Mercedes Martinez out there without major companies signing them. And I'm thinking, all right, Nicole Savoy's out there. Solo Darling looked real good this week. Looked real good. That's not what happened.
Nope, that's not what happened.
So I'll talk about this. God, I know I'm going to get shit on by the people that I'm talking about for it. I was told last week there's some major shifts going on as far as booking is concerned. Delirious isn't doing nearly as much booking as possible as he was. And now Bully Ray is doing a lot more of it. And Joey Mercury is getting more influential. And Danny Cage of Monster Factory is no longer even with Ring of Honor.
Mm-hmm.
Now keep in mind, they brought in Danny Cage because they looked at the Monster Factory and they said, wow, he's doing a network. He's got a nice setup. Look at that. Punishment Martinez and Matt Riddle and Nick Comoroto are all getting signed by WWE. We'll do that. And I'd heard when he would pitch some ideas, they were kind of like, no, we don't do that here. All right. Well, now they've got the MCW connection and they're signing people to anywhere between $250, $500 a week. I'm told Bully Ray's getting some more influence and it shows. And I don't know if that's going to be good or for bad because Bully Ray's a smart guy. He's a very smart guy. But Velvet Sky is in the company and Angelina Love are in the company. And all due respect to both of those women, what are we doing here?
Yeah, it's kind of the you remember when they brought PCO on and we were all like, PCO, he's having a career revival, and he's an attraction, he's a freak, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, he's up there as far as age goes. What can he really contribute long term when you are trying to build a company when there's WWE and then AEW, which is nipping at your heels and is scooping up more talent? What do you go and do instead of trying to scoop up the new talent that can create a future for you? Well, you bring in PCO. But then PCO, like we said, has, I think there's a bit of an upside.
No. He's hot. He's hot on the indies.
No, that's fine. That's why I said there's an upside. But you bring in the beautiful people that are now called the Allure.
I don't know why. I mean, Impact forfeited like all their IP. So, I mean, EC3 literally trademarked his name.
Mm-hmm.
And I just see this and I'm like, really? Even if it were for one night, you've got so many people in town right now.
There's no reason to go back to that. And it seems to me that Velvet Sky had retired.
I don't think she's wrestled since 2016.
I think she had actually announced that she was retired.
Oh, yeah, of course. But who believes that? Who believes that? On average, between Velvet, Angelina, and Madison Rain, I think they average 5 runs with Impact Wrestling. I don't get it, man. Like, there is real good talent out there. You've got Disco fucking Inferno out there cutting interviews saying, you know what, man? Some of these women out there are the best talkers and blow away the dudes. He's one of the more controversial lightning rods when it comes to women's wrestling that there is. And he's giving him prop. And to be fair, he also did say Velvet Sky is my favorite women's wrestler of all time. So
yeah, there you go. There you go.
But
it was really strange, and there was kind of a bit of a collective groan, I think, in Madison Square Garden when that happened, or at least a sentiment of disbelief, or maybe there was just a lot of people who didn't quite recognize them because Angelina Love, she looks a little transformed. Let's put it that way.
Well, Mandy Leon comes out and she is with the Allure, but man.
And Kelly Klein is a babyface now.
Impact Wrestling has a phenomenal women's division. If I were them, I would build the entire show around that.
Yep.
WWE has an incredible roster of women. AEW is going to have a really good set. Man. So before this match, we saw Juice Robinson laid out backstage. We cut to the ring and Mega Ran is performing and interrupted by Bully Ray, who a couple weeks ago had issued a open challenge for a New York street fight. Flip Gordon answers in incredible shape, mind you. And this is why I even told my writers a couple weeks ago. Flip Gordon was back. He did an OTT show, and then Ring of Honor was like, he's injured again. I said, yeah, we're not running that story.
Oh, yeah,
we'll run the one where he's injured, but not the one where he's injured.
Okay.
We're not doing that one. You can see this one coming, and nothing wrong with that. And he's out to battle Bully Ray. And along the way, this gets turned into a 6-person tag match. And it's Lifeblood, Juice Robinson, Haskins, and Flip Gordon against Bully Ray, Shane Taylor, and Silas Young. And I'm happy because all of these men should have been on this show. And I want to say especially Shane Taylor and Silas Young. Shane Taylor and Jeff Cobb had a hell of a match at 17th anniversary. Silas Young is a character and a damn good one. And these are guys that I think fit in with Bully Ray really well, Warren.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we didn't see. We could have used a lot more of them, I think, because I felt like this match started to, when it ended, it really started to pick up. Like at first, I thought that I thought the story around Juice being laid out and then Flip coming in, I thought it was a little excessive. It just a little bit of overbooking for the result that ended up being a 6-man hardcore toys match, basically. And just because, just because Juice eventually did come out with Haskins, I was like, well, what was the point of the whole being laid out story? Why was that shoehorned in? Oh, it's to give us the Flip surprise. Well, why didn't you just have Bully Ray do keep the Bully Ray challenge unannounced right up until that point, then have Flip come out, and then have Juice and Haskins come out when Bully Ray and his guys start trying to overpower Flip? I mean, I think it was a good move to put Flip instead of Juice as the main attraction, because by God, that boy is over. And did he ever look good? I think it was a great decision, but it just felt a little overbooked. But to me, the match was fun enough to excuse that part of that part of the booking.
I'm gonna cut to a little something. I want you to take a guess at who this is. Well, it'll be told.
Oh, is this the guy?
This is what we'll call old boy. This is old boy. And yeah, he got schlumped.
That's his mugshot?
Yeah, at least according to Davey Boy Smith Jr. I can't confirm if this is the guy or not. I'm not able to research that at this moment. So what we'll do is just speculate wildly. I would love to have the Michael Rapaport thing. Have you ever listened to his podcast? Like whenever he gets something wrong, like his thing is, well, we don't fact check. It's not allowed. No fact checking allowed on the show. I would love a no research allowed show, but then people would call it the NRA podcast, and we can't do that. The no research allowed. But hey,
because I was about to say, we have a great idea for select right there, Sean.
Oh, that's yeah, it's a great idea. So this match is what it is. It's violent. Young, the fact that Silas Young can still do that handstand springboard moonsault with his knee brace the way that he is, it's great. Flip Gordon takes the cane shots to the back. Brutal.
And it was fantastic. What a visual, just standing there and taking them. And then you see the welts instantaneously. Oh, no, that was fantastic. I was all about Flip tonight.
Yeah. Everyone has canes and just swings it out. The heels almost do the old Dudley bomb on Flip through the table, but then Bully's balls got destroyed
a couple of times.
Oh, unfortunately, that is not the person in the mug shot. What a bummer. Jeremy Lambert said he did a reverse image search. It's from 2012. Oh. We are able to confirm. This match ended with the baby faces picking up the win. I liked the pallet spot. That was cool. You don't see a lot of pallets in pro wrestling. Bully Ray ends up getting pinned. This is a good comeuppance for Bully Ray. A lot of people say, oh, Bully Ray's this and that. He is a good character in a company that does not have a lot of them.
Yeah, I agree. And there's still there's excellent nuances to his character nonetheless, because he does play the bully perfectly, being all tough guy and such. And then when he's outnumbered, when he's in trouble, then he becomes sniveling and, I'm sorry. They put me up to it, Juice. I'm sorry. I don't know if that's an indication of an angle, furthering this angle, and that there was someone actually behind it, or if it's just Bully Ray just saying anything he can to get out of the situation, which also works in his character. That's the point.
I still have a bone to pick with Ring of Honor New Japan for the fact that Juice was out of that New Japan Cup tournament before 17th anniversary in the tapings, and they didn't just let Juice come over. I'm like, those are important tapings for Ring of Honor ahead of the New Japan show. And because you need him in some mindless 6-man tag, you can't fly him to America to make the tapings and the 17th anniversary show. Like, come on. Like, investing in Juice's visibility in America is investing in yourself. Yep. Because Juice is a star, man. He is just full of charisma. Also, by the way, I mentioned this on the daily update I did today, but if I'm Ring of Honor for Women of Honor, I'm bringing in Sarah Shockey of Marty and Sarah's pod. I've been listening to her on these GCW shows. She kicks ass. She's entertaining. She doesn't step over the play-by-play guy. She does what she's there to do. She adds color to a show, and god damn, she's good. She's just so natural, and she would be perfect. She'd be perfect, just quite frankly, for color commentary for Ring of Honor in general, much less for Women of Honor. So I can't put her over enough. I was blown away. When I hear really good commentary, I dork out over it because it ain't everywhere to be found on the indie circuit. Tyler Valls does some great stuff and not a lot else. IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. This was a stunt show. That's what it was.
That's pretty much what it was.
Dragon Lee defeated Bandido and Taiji Ishimori. It might surprise you, Warren. There were some flips that started this one off.
Shockingly enough. I felt, well, I liked the match for what it was, but you know how sometimes people say, people who don't like this, the junior style of wrestling, well, they'll say, oh, it's just about the flips. It's just about, flipping around and not much else. They don't do the psychology and people like me who do appreciate a good juniors match were like, no, absolutely not. Yes, there are flips, but there is storytelling nonetheless and so on. I feel that this is the kind of match that gives the detractors ammo, you know, because it did jump into the high spots really quickly. It did feel like a bit of a spot fest, and some good old fashioned wrestling storytelling was a casualty of this.
And in triple threat matches or matches with more than 2 people, I excuse the move after move after move thing a little bit more because it's naturally a more fast-paced match. You don't have one person selling all the time. I mean, you do, but you also have another ingredient added to really speed this up. Highlight of this match was Bandido doing a moonsault double fall-away slam.
That was nuts.
Dude, I used to do that with action figures when I was 12 and didn't think it was possible. I was like, this could never happen. Bandido did it. Production completely missed Bandido dropping Ishimori across his knee. But everything else from production I thought was great. I thought the show was lit really well. I thought that the commentary sounded good. Outside of you seeing the back of monitors at the commentary table, I thought production was really good, especially when you stack it up to that heap of shit that was Impact Wrestling this past week.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, yes, absolutely. I think my only qualm was that as far as shooting goes, you didn't feel like you were in Madison Square Garden. Like, you didn't feel the size of the venue and the huge audience. That, you know, I like the idea that the camera was really, really tight on the ring. That was good, but it also lacked, you know how WWE can make you feel like the arena is big around you.
Sure.
You know, this is what was missing. I found, like, you're in Madison Square Garden, you're not in Joe Schmo Arena. Just like make it feel big. It's really my only problem, because I thought everything else was spot on.
And you had to say make it feel big after the Blue Chew segue, huh?
Look, man, I gave you throwing a bone. All right.
That's true. I mean, embarrassment of riches. We'll call it that. Well, that's what Dragon Lee has right now. He won. Lots of people expected a return. It didn't happen.
Yeah. I was part of those. What'd
you think? How'd you feel? No return.
Well, it'll happen eventually, and it's probably a good idea to keep it for the Japanese crowd as well.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah,
I think it is too.
And especially you know, considering everything that we did get tonight, the title changes, Great Muta making an appearance, North American crowd.
We got lots of stuff.
Yeah,
we got lots of stuff. Can't be greedy. Now, previous shows in previous New Japan shows, I think, were too much like New Japan shows to some degree, besides the one with the visa issues, where you had all the 6-8-man tags and all the pointless tags. This was more of an American style show, or a big show feel, and that I like. Bandido puts the title on him after the match. Then we got to talk about this winner take all match. This match was wild, man. And if you would have put any two of these teams up against each other, I don't know how it would be. And tag team matches in Ring of Honor, honestly, are the victim of no storytelling often. But this is okay, because you got 8 people here. You got 8 people. PCO gets a big match entrance. He's over huge. One of my favorite things early in this was Tongaloa getting put in the Paradise Lock. It's just more entertaining when it's him, right?
Yes, absolutely. I think the only other possible person that it's entertaining when it's put on is Minoru Suzuki, because it doesn't make any sense.
Sure. The Briscoes start diving. It's a nice contrast of the type of people they get to work with, because usually they're working with smaller guys. Caprice Coleman does a good job of pointing out that the Briscoes have experience with all these guys, and nobody else does. The spot of the match is PCO taking this filthy power bomb. That
was ridiculous.
Wah,
I mean, just before that, he did that. He did that somersault senton on.
Yes, he finally got it. He finally got it. Like, it was a joke on the media call. Like, he's like, I never hit that. Like, somebody tells me, stop going for it. He goes, I'm going to hit that one day. And he did this week.
There you go. And it looked awesome. It was fantastic. And then after that, the Gorillas of Destiny just dump him over onto the floor. Yeah, that was nuts. And And then
he sat up.
And I was like, oh my God, it's Undertaker 2.0.
And that's his goal. He wanted, when he mounted his comeback, his goal was to face Undertaker at WrestleMania. And he said, I know a lot of people laughed about that, but I didn't. And I believe I can get there. And I'm looking at his work and I'm thinking, God damn it, pal, I believe you can too. Yep. And you're sitting here in a title, it's a winner-take-all match at Madison Square Garden at 51 years old. I've got a lot of respect for him. I mean, here's the thing. I was interviewing Raven 14 months ago. And when I was interviewing Raven, who hasn't been seen nationally since then, I was saying, did you really work with Pierre? Like, he's still around? And he's like, yeah, we did the old Quebecers finish on this Canadian show. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. A couple months later, he's on this Joey Janela show. And his career took off. 1 year ago, a lot of people were introduced to both Walter and PCO via that match. And look where they are now, respectively. One in the Barclays Center winning a title. Another one in Madison Square Garden competing at completely different stages of their career. Pro wrestling rules, man. So GOD eventually win. I couldn't do this one justice, but the story was after the match. They didn't show this on TV at all. They kind of mentioned it on commentary. They said, oh, come on. But it's Enzo and Cass, who I will assume are now being called Real One and Tall Colin. And boy, they are throwing some live rounds. This is a work, guys. It is a work. But they did a damn good job, regardless of how I feel about either of these guys. One thing, heard Enzo had a very long line at WrestleCon and heard that he was a pleasure to deal with. That's good news. That's real good news. Because if he can keep his shit straight, he can be very valuable. Sure. As can Cass. And they can make money together. And I hope they do keep their stuff straight, and I do hope they make money together. This was a real good angle until Ring of Honor retweeted it on their main account.
There you go.
Ooh, what'd you think of this?
Well, I mean, I started seeing the tweets pop up, the videos, just kind of as it was happening. I was like, whoa, okay, what's going on? And my first false flag was when commentary backhandedly referred to it. They were all sitting there and they sort of turned off and, you know, looked off to the side, and Colt Cabana said, just never mind what's happening. You know, it's like, if it was really something happening in the audience that was not planned, they wouldn't be saying a single word about it. So that was my first indication. And then the fact when you started looking at the videos, there was no security. There was no security, despite the fact that, was it Mark Briscoe who was unloading?
Whoa. Enzo got in some good shots too, man. Enzo was throwing his hands. Briscoe was throwing, and then Bully takes Enzo and heaves him into the barricade. Now, Enzo has admitted openly that Bully Ray is a mentor of his. Mm-hmm. What I would have done if I were them is literally had Bully Ray do the opposite. Have him play the role that security wasn't. Because the way that they're trying to get this over, because, man, they sold tickets to a lot of people. At first, I was like, damn, this is legit, because they didn't show it on TV. They didn't do any of that. When I finally got to see it and I saw no security there, talked to someone within ROH, they said, yeah, they're in. I was like, all right. But I'm like, they did good. Besides security not stepping in, and besides that part. Now, do I doubt? I'll say this before I get too confusing. I don't doubt that if Bully Ray saw one of his friends and they were a threat to somebody at ringside, I believe that Bully Ray would put hands on them. Sure. I legitimately do.
Sure.
But I think that took away a little bit from it. But I thought it was a phenomenal angle. Security should have gotten involved. It would have made it even better, but I'm interested to see what Enzo and Cass do in Ring of Honor. If this is their fresh start and so much of what I've heard about them has changed, Cass had a shitty attitude backstage. Enzo had a shitty attitude backstage. Enzo sucker punched a guy in the side of the head. He got kicked out of the locker room. And then from what I understand, got kicked out of whatever is adjoining to the locker room. And didn't do himself any favors. He had, I thought his shoot interview was very good. I thought that he sounded like an adult there. He wasn't turned up. Like I said, I heard he was great to deal with at WrestleCon. I hope he can be of use to somebody because he is a very talented guy.
Well, I mean, sometimes you just need to have a reality give you a nice cold glass of water right in the groin, just to put you back
right on your consensual penis,
right there, just to put you back on track, And I mean, I'm not the biggest Enzo fan. I never really was. Apparently his music career is not taking the turn that he wanted. That big album that he was working on with some big names last year. Still haven't seen that happen.
Tonga Loa didn't seem happy that this took away from their win on Twitter, but
no, well, probably not. There'll definitely be some pushback on the inside. It's interesting, but
and I had heard some people say that front office pushed for them to come in. Well, I mean, from what I understand, Bully Ray did too. So,
well, that's what I was going to say. It's interesting that you mentioned at the start of the show that Bully Ray is getting more booking duties. Then Enzo pops up. Oh, and by the way, Enzo has always said that Bully Ray was one of his mentors. Connect the dots. La 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 la.
Yeah, I was going to say that story for next week, but given things that happen, Rev Pro Championship, Zack Sabre Jr. defeated Tanahashi. This was relatively short, as it should have been. I love that they play up the Tanahashi shoulder injury still, because he is an older dude. He's starting to show it physically, too.
Yeah.
It's like somebody spun a top, because everything he did had a spin to it tonight. He did like 6 sling blades and an inverted sling blade and the corkscrew leg whip and the twist and shout. And I thought they all looked good, especially under these bright lights and on this big stage. The inverted sling blade, which I don't know was intended or not, looked good. But what I loved was the finish. This octopus double arm bar. Hoo boy.
Yeah.
Because they set it up, Warren, with them saying, can Tanahashi get himself up when he's holding up on the ropes? And they finished it off with that story. I thought that was real good.
And what I also liked about it, and this is what's so fantastic about how they book Zack Sabre Jr., is that Tanahashi's history with his knees is very clear, and they were referencing the matches that Tanahashi had recently, where his opponents worked on his legs as well. So the commentary was saying, "Oh, all Zack Sabre Jr. has to do is work the legs." He went straight for the arms. He went straight for the joints. He was working the arms, the elbows. And that's why it paid off ultimately. And the logic also, because this is how Zack Sabre Jr., his head functions as far as the psychology goes, is like, his legs are broken. I can go for his legs like that if I want to, but he's expecting me to do that. So I'm going to work his arms. Oh, and by the way, once I'm done working the arms, making sure they're nice and soft and malleable, I'm going to pull out this sick finisher, this really crazy submission hold, and he's going to tap. He's going to tap, or at least try to tap, however he submitted, because how the hell do you tap in that move?
Good stuff. Taka Michinoku at ringside, who had a fun match with Orange Cassidy this week.
Yeah, by the way,
Orange Cassidy is a joy. His show ruled today. I can't wait to talk about that tomorrow. Orange Cassidy had a brilliant show today. IWGP Intercontinental Championship, Kota Ibushi, and whatever his neck is made of, defeated Tetsuya Naito to become champion. It spilled outside pretty early, and honestly, early on, I thought Ibushi was selling too much early on, and Naito, maybe his work wasn't stiff enough to facilitate that. But boy, did that change. This match just got up and got good. Ibushi fought back. He teased doing the German suplex we saw to Riddle and Velveteen Dream, which you had mentioned he's done before.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he certainly did it later, Warren.
Yep, exactly. I mean, and what I don't know if it was if it was a direct reference to what happened last night at Takeover, but yeah, it was fantastic. Look, you know, it wasn't as balls out crazy as their match, their first round match at the New Japan Cup this year was, but it was still extraordinary. It was really, really sound, really, really exciting. I loved this match. And you know what? The audience did too. The audience was ready to see Ibushi and Naito. And man, these guys are over. These guys are so crazy over.
I think a lot of people assumed that Ibushi was going to go to AEW or go wherever Kenny Omega went. And not only didn't he signed a deal with New Japan, something he's been hesitant to do for a long time. And as soon as he did, they're like, here you go. Here you go, man.
We'll just give you titles, man. That's absolutely fine. And it's something that I had predicted as well, not to pat myself on the back too much when he was knocked out of the New Japan Cup. People, oh, well, it was his to win. No, not necessarily. Bring him in here, put him up against Naito, give him the second biggest belt in the company. That's fine. That's absolutely fine.
His time will come. It will. And the way he landed on his head on that rocket kick, freaking darn, man.
Yeah.
He withstood a spiked Rana too, and Ibushi ended up winning, and a Destino. This was a good, fun match, but I can't believe I'm about to say this. In my opinion, Matt Taven stole the show at Madison Square Garden. I have busted this guy's balls for so long. And quite frankly, from a character standpoint, I don't care about the guy. But I think that what Ring of Honor did worked for me. They pushed a guy that I didn't give a shit for so long that I became invested in not giving a shit about him. I think it's what WWE is hoping happens with Baron Corbin. But I don't see it because Baron Corbin's got a few good moves. He can't work like Matt Taven. I've never denied Matt Taven's in-ring work. This was awesome. In my opinion, Matt Taven had 2 A+ performances in 3 weeks that led up to this moment. And I have a ton of respect for him. He beat Jay Lethal and Marty Scurll in this ladder match to become Ring of Honor champion. Immediately dove onto Scurll and Lethal outside. Scurll hung, I can't remember which one it was. I think Taven upside down in a tree of woe in the ladder, slapped it with the chair. They did some cool stuff in this. This is one of the best ladder matches I've seen in quite a while, Warren.
I was very concerned when within the first couple of minutes, maybe 2 to 3 minutes, they were already building structures with the ladder. You know, they had Jay Lethal had set up some chairs and made a little platform with one of the ladders. They were already going to the ladders and the toys, and I was like, man, is this going? We're going to this already. Like, I like me a ladder match where there's a build up, you know, where you sort of you use the ladders a bit, but as you go on, it becomes crazier and crazier. And I thought that they were already, you know, sort of building the contraptions too early. But it turns out that they got some really creative spots in there with some ladder matches, stuff I haven't seen. I was sports entertained. That's what I was.
Yeah, man, they delivered. They did a lot of really, really great stuff in this match. There were some hard-hitting spots with the ladders. There was a figure 4 on the ladder from Jay Lethal.
That was
what I didn't like was Scurll selling his knee but doing the 619 and being like, I fought through it. Why wouldn't you just do literally anything else?
Yeah.
Huge fuck you Taven chants.
Mm-hmm.
And one night after I said that Pete Dunne went to the fingers too often, Marty Scurll didn't. He went there the right amount of times. And the setup by stomping Taven's fingers as he was opening the ladder, oh, that was a great spot.
That was good.
That was good. Really smart. A beautiful setup.
And the part where he really went for the fingers was when they were at the top of the ladder, when he and Taven were at the top. And then he started snapping the fingers because Taven was trying to reach up, and he was like, no, I'm just gonna I'm just gonna kill your fingers. That way you won't be able to pick anything up. And Taven wasn't even able to climb the ladder afterwards. I dug it.
Pardon me.
That's fine.
So there is an amazing spot where the ladders are X'd up.
Oh,
I'd never seen that.
no, that was cool.
All these 25 years of ladder matches, never seen it. I'd also never seen the ladder fly into the crowd. They chanted, "That's a lawsuit." It didn't hurt anybody.
No,
it didn't hurt anybody.
Just tapped someone lightly on the head.
Yeah, it's all right. Taven and Marty go through a ringside table after a Taven YOLO dive. Then Taven falls victim to one of the more brutal elbow drops I've ever seen. Lethal on top of a ladder outside, elbow drops Taven through. Great spot.
That if I'm working in Ring of Honor, I'm calling the production guys and I'm saying, you add this clip to the entrance to the intro montage for the shows on the weekly show. You put that straight in because that was really cool.
Taven bringing in a giant purple ladder, very on brand. Very on brand. He then knocks Lethal onto another ladder that is bridged, and he wins. And there's this great shot from ringside of Taven up in the air holding the title with Madison Square Garden in the background. I hope somebody got a picture of that for him because that is something that you put on your wall. When Ring of Honor announced they were doing a Madison Square Garden show, I even tweeted, I was like, I don't see it as a big deal. And the reason I didn't see it as a big deal was I didn't think they would sell it out, much less immediately. If it were Barclays, I would have said that. If it were a barn that seated 50,000, I would have said, no big deal. I compared it to when TNA ran the Alamo Dome, if you remember that. But they didn't run the Alamo Dome. They ran a section of the Alamo Dome. And that's what I thought Ring of Honor was going to do. They didn't. They sold out the freaking Garden. And you can say whatever it is you want about whose back that was sold on. They sold out the Garden. And Matt Taven won the ROH title at the Garden. And it was the right call. It was the right call, and I didn't think I would ever say that.
He got the heat. That's for damn sure because everyone wanted Marty Scurll to win. That's who everyone was picking. Gonna be honest with you, Sean, I'm kind of surprised that they didn't put the title on Scurll. I actually thought that Villain Industries was gonna wipe the floor with the gold, and then just like be uber dominant as far as Ring of Honor goes. Now, of course, because it's the internet. Now everyone is speculating that, oh, well, of course, Marty's contract is up. He's not staying. He's on his way out.
It's not, by the way.
We heard his voice on BTE. He's heading over.
Deal's not up, guys. By the way. Main event time. Kazuchika Okada defeated Switchblade Jay White to become champion. White stalls out to start, and it drives the MSG crowd nuts.
Sean, we've done these enough to know.
Yeah.
I love me a good stall, damn it. Oh,
man, I would have hated reviewing Larry Zbyszko matches with you. I remember when the EWR game, do you remember that?
The EWR game.
Extreme Warfare Revenge.
Yes, okay.
His finishing move on that game was the 7-minute stall. I'll never forget that. But it does start out slow. There's some brief Okada offense, but Jay White gets this great spinning brain buster. Okada does the reverse neck breaker. A badass Okada shotgun drop kick, but can't get the Rainmaker. So we're nowhere near done. Jay White goes back into his arsenal, tries to use the Kiwi Crusher, which he actually, in our Making a Finisher, talked to me about why he did it and how he did it and all that. So it was cool for me to see him going for that because, I mean, I talked to the guy about it. Had to settle for a snap Saito suplex over the ropes. He wouldn't take the count out for some reason. He's a dick. He should take the count out.
Yeah, it was a little off-brand for him at that point to just be like, no, let's get him back in and do it. No, it's like that's not who Jay White is. Quite honestly, at this point, I was liking the match and I was enjoying the story, and I was wondering if Okada wasn't coming in a little too confident into this match, because he felt a little, smiling a lot, just enjoying himself. It felt like he was a little too much in control, and I was wondering if his overconfidence would be his undoing ultimately.
So he wouldn't take the count out. Ate a tombstone. There's a sleeper suplex that hits, really good spot, as does a rainmaker, but the crowd just explodes in disbelief when he doesn't get pinned.
Mm-hmm. And his face too. His expression there is absolutely priceless. Like he's just like, okay, and I think at this point, if you want to follow my interpretation of the match, if he was very overconfident, very confident in what he's doing, he hits his rainmaker, the guy kicks out, and he's like, oh, all right, well, at this point, I have to try just about anything else at this point because this is not working.
And there are a lot of things that go a long way in making a main eventer for New Japan. The title is one, the push is another. Bullet Club helps, especially leading it. Picking out of a rainmaker, get some mileage out of that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a strike trade that goes down, and then White ends up cracking Okada right in the ball sack. I need to learn how to say penis in Japan, or Japanese in Japan.
But you
could just fly to Japan and then say penis.
Penis.
There you go. My God.
Sounds like a corporate trip.
Yeah.
They're a huge exercise.
Fuck you, Gato chance. Okada's able to rally back, hits the rainmaker, picks up the win, huge ovation. I didn't think we would maybe ever see this, but we're talking about 4 IWGP heavyweight champions in just over 3 months.
Right.
We're talking Omega, Tanahashi, Okada, and White. That's amazing and kind of indicative of New Japan and where they are at this stage.
Yeah, well, I think there's something to be said that the finagling with the IWGP heavyweight title is directly intertwined with the Elite leaving. Since New Japan books very, very long term, probably the disappearance of Kenny and the Bucks, and probably threw a wrench in quite a few plans. So they had to readjust. Went to the Tanahashi to put the belt on someone solid, upon which they could build a new champion, a new type of contender, elevate someone else into the main event, being Jay White. And then coming back to Okada, well, honestly, Sean, there was no other outcome possible after bringing New Japan Pro Wrestling to North America, putting Kazuchika Okada in the main event. There was no other outcome than he regaining the title, going for his 5th run as a heavyweight champion. It was just perfect, and it brings the entire Okada storyline to a close since losing the title, his G1 last year, where he was running around with balloons and red hair, his mutation back into the Rainmaker that didn't immediately translate into victories because Jay White had his number. He had to get the Jay White monkey off his back, and it's done now. I love how this is all wrapped up.
Well, that wraps up this event. I thought a pretty solid one. I mean, it is a long show, but it was a major show for them. That's these two companies running the Garden. And it's not just one company. It's 2 companies coming together and doing this. So I'll ask you one thing. Do they run the Garden again? And do they sell it out? And by they, I mean Ring of Honor and New Japan collectively.
It's an interesting question, isn't it? Because there's an argument to be made that a lot of people were excited to see the Elite, right? When
there are a lot of arguments that Ring of Honor and New Japan, the brands, didn't sell shit. And there were a lot of people that will make that argument, that will say, if there's no WrestleMania weekend, if there's no Elite attached to this, what do they have? And I don't know.
Well,
I don't know what they have.
Look at what's happening right now with the G1 in Dallas. They're having a bit of an issue filling out the building, you know?
Yeah.
Apparently, but you see, here's the interesting thing, that apparently when the shows that they're preparing, that they're heading out in Britain, they're selling really, really well.
Oh yeah.
So I find it interesting, and I find it interesting in their attitude. Is there going to be an American expansion? They created the US title to sort of spearhead this on, but the US title, between that and a beer coaster, it's pretty much the same thing at this point.
Yeah.
Whereas the Rev Pro British heavyweight title, look, was featured here today. There was no sign of the US title on this card. The Rev Pro title was at Wrestle Kingdom. It's featured, man. They gave it to Ishii. There's, maybe that the fabled American expansion is going to naturally become a British expansion for New Japan, because things just seem to be jiving a lot better over there.
Yeah, that relationship with Rev Pro is paying off for both ends. That was a question that Jonathan Ma had for us on the Fightful Select Q&A chat. Subscribe today.
$5 a month.
Yeah. And it is one of those relationships that has just worked out fantastically for all involved. But I'll tell you what will work out for you guys. Joining me tomorrow afternoon, I have a loaded day, obviously. Doing the day 3 wrap-up. On the screen to my left, I'm watching LA Park face Masato Tanaka. I just saw Ricky Morton do a Canadian Destroyer on a member of LAX. What? I'm going to be talking about Orange Cassidy's show. I'm going to be talking about anything else that I possibly can. But show some love to my other daily wrap-ups that I did. I'm going to compile them all for audio, but I'm doing those every day. Also, if you are local to the Cincinnati area, I'm going to be on ESPN 1530 talking about WrestleMania tomorrow. Check that out. Warren, you're back here with me tomorrow night. Myself and Alex, WrestleMania. It's going to be a long show, both the show and our post-show.
Yeah, I'm gonna stock up on coffee, but you know what? We tend to complain and bitch. Oh, it's such a long show, but man, I just love wrestling.
I do too.
There you go.
I said it last week, man. I don't care how long WrestleMania is. I'm here for it. I'm not going to the zoo. I'm gonna be watching WrestleMania, and if I won $1 billion tomorrow, I'm still watching WrestleMania.
There you go.
And I'm probably still doing a post show. So leave us a thumbs up, guys. That stuff really helps. Leaving us a thumbs up, subscribe to us, tap that bell for notifications. Mr. Warren Hayes has a channel as well. Tell them where they can find it.
You can find me on youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. I do post Raw and SmackDown recaps just a little after Sean and Alex do. So, you guys have the time to just a little after. So you guys can start off with Sean and Alex, and then when they're done, you can come over and see me. And I also do prediction shows and stuff like that. It's a fun time. youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes.
Fightful.com, guys. Thank you all so much. If you all want to help us but don't want to subscribe to Fightful Select, please leave us an iTunes review. It takes maybe a minute. It is free. It helps those people find us. Until next time, guys, we're out.